Hey, Mertz, didn't you just drive in from the rally?
I did. Did you get your robe?
No, I didn't get my robe. Did you? Wait a second. Wait a second. Are we in a cult?
Yes, we are.
Oh my, folks! I'm Coach Tanya.
And I'm Coach Mertz.
Welcome to the Affiliate Soapbox.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, we're in a cult now.
we're in a cult
We've been
now.
a cult for a while now.
Have we? No one told me.
Well, because maybe you should really read what CrossFit has been putting out lately about the culture of CrossFit.
They have been sending me a lot of emails, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of emails.
Yes. Yes, we are part of a cult.
We are okay. So now we're in a cult. Well, what is a cult?
By definition.
Yeah.
By definition, I'm sure you probably know the definition, but I'm going to say my definition.
I might have looked it up.
My definition of a cult is somebody who follows leadership that goes against the grain of common perception.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's break it down a little bit. All right.
Okay.
The definition of cult that I researched on Google, it was very intense research, everyone. Little Wikipedia there. The definition of a cult, one of the first things under the definition of a cult is intense devotion to specific beliefs. What are our intense devotions? What do we specifically believe in our cult of CrossFit?
I think that I would say that we believe that this can help change lives through meticulous, hard work with proper coaching, and a belief that we have as coaches and as owners that there's a reason why we do this, and we do this because there is a huge upside, I should say, to coming in and sweating together.
Okay. I'm going to break mine down a little bit.
Okay.
Be a little bit specific. I came prepared, folks. I did the assignment. So I think one of our main tenets of CrossFit is a little bit what you talked about, the belief that movement is medicine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Movement is medicine. We believe that nutrition is the foundation of your health. So we put those two things together. We believe in the CrossFit methodology. So
Yeah.
we are jack of all trades, masters of none. So we believe in being prepared for the known and the unknowable. Okay.
Specificity is, did I say that right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, is not specific. So we do not lean into one method. We borrow from all of it, and we bring it in and wrap a nice little package and write it on the whiteboard and say we're mixing all this stuff together and we're going to have fun doing it.
That's right. So yeah, I guess if you look at that definition right there, intense devotion to specific beliefs, we've got that. All right,
Yeah.
let's move on. Extreme practices that seem strange to outsiders.
Oh, now that one, we for
Right.
sure.
We're absolutely there.
We're
right?
there. Right.
We lift heavy things.
Yeah.
Right. We do crazy cardio pieces.
We get upside down on our heads,
Right.
we spin like a monkey on the bars.
Exactly. Often in rigs we find in random places we have no permission to be on.
Isn't that a weird thing?
You
It's like
see-
we see something hanging and we're like, I bet I can get up on it.
Yeah. Have you ever you've gone to something and they have ropes coming from the ceiling, and maybe those ropes are to pull something across? It's for technical things or for filming or whatever. And I'm like, I bet I could climb that.
How much you want to bet? I don't bet.
And it's just all of a sudden gets into our heads. Hey,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because of the capabilities we've built up, the things we've practiced, we are more likely to look around the room and find things that outsiders would think insane to even consider doing.
Oh yeah. So I have a friend of mine. He's always sending me especially calisthenics videos of people doing these gymnastics kind of stuff, and I'm not that into calisthenics to be able to do that. Could I do that if I put the time and effort and put down the barbell and take my time and really do all the calisthenic work to achieve those things? Sure, 100%. But I don't find just doing that fun. I want to do other things.
You want to do all of it. It's fun to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fun. Well, you always want to when you learn a new skill, what's the next skill above that? And you want to kind of start learning that a little bit. I mean, like I say, I want to become a world-class gymnastics, but Dave Durante, former USA gymnast, and he talked about all the skill levels. Remember, like skill A to skill J.
Yes.
And like
Yeah.
what we do in CrossFit, like we barely do skill A.
We're very, according to Dave Durante, we are very low on the gymnastics skill
Yeah.
totem
Yeah.
pole, which is interesting because, as we talked about, some of the things outsiders see us doing, even if it's just pull ups, but now, wall walks, handstand
Yeah.
walks, muscle ups seems strange to outsiders
Sure.
and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Right. So we fit right under that definition.
All right. Now the third
The
one.
third one, unquestioning loyalty. I think that is actually true. I mean, once you join a CrossFit box and once you discover this new community, this new way of getting healthy, you've got like-minded people, you start to want to be there more and more often, not just to
Sure.
get your results, but to see your friends, to not have the coach being like, "Hey, we haven't seen you 3 days. Where you been?" There's
Yeah. Yeah.
accountability there. So you start becoming loyal to both the box itself and to the methodology because it's fun,
Yeah.
it's challenging. It's exciting to come in and see what else you can do that day.
Yeah.
So
I think the unquestioning loyalty, um, that I think that those two words right there uh, can morph a little bit. And what I mean by that is it's not that we don't listen. Look, when members come in and say, coach, why don't we do more of this or do less of this? Or I want to, I want this, I want that. So they do always question things that they want us to implement or change or something like that. And that's always becomes a hard talk because, it's what we're doing is we're doing for a mass of people generally. That way grandma could do it and and the 16-year-old that walks in the door can do it. We get that the unquestioning loyalty. There is a lot of times there will be questioning. There will be some kickback from that loyalty. But ultimately, if they believe in us and they listen to us and we help explain to them why we do the way we do and why we do certain things, and sometimes just have that hard talk. But that does happen from time to time.
well, but I think that's actually based on the fact that they are loyal to the methodology. They're bought in, so now they want to give input. They want to have a little bit of control over their own CrossFit destiny, and that's not bad. Sometimes it just takes figuring out how you fit those values in with how something is presented in terms of learning the movement, making sure we have the mechanics before we, move on to consistency and then on to intensity. So
Sure.
working within that model, I mean, CrossFit is an open data methodology. We all share our results, we all share our programming, we all share questions and problems and issues,
Yeah.
as affiliates. So I think it's fair to say that even though people might question some things, ask for change, they're doing it within the framework of their lifetime athletes and they just want to have input. They want to enjoy it and maybe they just want to understand.
Sure.
Right.
And they might have
And
different goals.
well, and then, something else that comes in with being a cult is the idea that someone or certain groups might have manipulative control over
Uh,
their athletes.
manipulative control over
Manipulative
men.
control. And so that came into my mind when you started talking about, well, having hard conversations. I think the most manipulative thing we do as coaches is say, you're doing 15 burpees. There's no crying in CrossFit. Like, unless you have an injury, unless it needs to be a modification because of a physical limitation you have, you're
Well,
doing 15
well,
burpees today.
but is manipulating always viewed as negative? It doesn't have to be viewed as negative.
Right.
We're doing this to help you.
Right.
It's just getting past that, why we always do burpees? Why we always do this? Why we
Good
always
for
do
you.
this?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that and being manipulative isn't necessarily wrong in this case. We're trying to help them, help instill that belief into them.
And educate on
Yeah.
nutrition, educate on sleep,
Yeah.
educate on stress and what our stress levels should be brought down to. There's way too much stress and it's affecting everyone way more than anyone understands.
Yeah.
So I think that when we say manipulation, we're talking about programming, we're talking about athlete education, and we're talking about helping guide that athlete to their goals or towards a better outcome within what's unique to them. So we're not trying to force them into someone else's mold, because everybody's CrossFit journey is unique. Some things we share. It's always scary to walk into the box the first time. We share that fear, but some things are also very specific to the individual.
And we live in a world that the word cult, there's a cultish behavior around us everywhere in every facet of what of everything in nowadays. It feels like we're and look, we don't need to get to politics at all, but just saying in the terms of everybody seems to have a belief in us that separates different areas, right? So like for instance, look, I'll talk about religion, because cult is very
Warning.
right.
Disclaimer.
Cult has always
Religious
been
pop.
attached to religious beliefs in a way. So like if you look at Christianity, all these different virtues that make human morals beautiful, and at the time that was against the grain. So when you look at CrossFit, when it started, we were totally against the grain.
We were definitely very different. We definitely looked different to outsiders. There was a lot of resistance until people tried the methodology out, came to their first class, stayed for their first week, month, 6 months. And from the outside, we do a lot of other cultish things. We have our own language. We have the workout of the day. We call it a WOD.
Yeah.
Right. We have different we have a PR, personal record.
I often look at a gym as a church. Right. I mean, that's why I'm talking about it. That's why I want to, like you asked me what we're going to talk about today. And I said, hold on, I'm going to let you, I got ideas.
There's a song about this. We dress similarly.
Right.
We come in our gym's t-shirt. We have very similar appearance when it comes to clothing. We also try to recruit our friends and family. Like if you know someone who does CrossFit and they don't talk to you about CrossFit within the first 10 to 30 seconds of you sitting down with them, the question is, do they really do CrossFit? I mean, they might be faking it, but in general, we have found something that we believe in. We have found something that works for us.
Correct.
We have found a community that's rewarding and enriching in our lives. So yes, we invite people in, and sometimes high pressure. That's kind of cultish.
They find themselves walking into a church and they're like, oh, this is what I needed. Same thing. They don't take their health standards correctly, and they get to a point of where they are so just dormant and need a lifestyle change.
They're sedentary.
And they walk inside of a CrossFit gym and they just and after that first workout, it's hard. Look, I can guarantee. Look, I walked into it. I went 30 years without going to church, and I finally went to church, and I cried my eyes out. People would first try CrossFit. What do? They cry. They struggle. They sweat. They're like, "Oh my God, I just got hit by a wall," and they might even cry.
I don't think we don't usually make people cry. Most people get done with that first CrossFit workout. They're like, "That was the hardest thing I've ever done. I love this. I want to do it again." I think that's what CrossFit has. Is it draws you in, right? That first experience with the community, hopefully the facility, the coaches, and then that workout, it draws you in, and then it's somewhat addicting, which is very cultish as well. You become addicted to how you feel at the end of a workout. You become addicted to how you start feeling on a daily basis. You have more energy, you have a better mood, you have some connection, some social connection. So all of that becomes something you want more of. Or not quite as addictive as Red 40, like when you open up that bag of Doritos, which I think they still have that in there. That's terrible, folks. Don't eat that. But honestly, I think as a cult, we're one of the better versions of a cult you can find out there.
And look, I was going to lead right into that as you're saying that. You walk into F45s, the Barry boot camps, the Orange Theories. Yeah, they have some kind of culture. They probably have and they stole, we'll use borrowed, steal, whatever. Learned a lot from CrossFit and how we created an atmosphere, a community, and they tried to borrow from that and create that, but they, for the most part, can't do it like we can do it.
Well, I think that's one of the things I've seen on a lot of CrossFit posts, and even from HQ, is the phrase "only CrossFit is CrossFit."
Yeah,
and that's true. you can take some of what we do. You can steal some of the mythology. You can use some of the verbiage. You can take and do our hero wads in your gym. But if you're not with us, if you're not an affiliate, if you're not a CrossFit coach, if you're not doing the continuing education, if you're not following along with the culture that we've set up, you're just not CrossFit.
Yeah.
To say that you're just doing what we do without the name,
Yeah.
that isn't true. That might be true for the 1 or 2 days that you try to follow what we do, but once you step away from the coaching education, you step away from the tons of emails we get from CrossFit HQ. Once you step away, right, from all of the things that made CrossFit, the methodology, the community, the sharing of data, the bringing together in events like the Open, you're not CrossFit anymore.
Yeah.
So
No,
you
no.
stepped out of the cult.
Well, and I would,
and in my opinion, lessened yourself.
and let's look at High Rocks. I would argue to say if there was no CrossFit, High Rocks wouldn't be nearly what it's like.
Absolutely.
You know, because it took the community of CrossFit for High Rocks to walk into CrossFit gyms, for us to, basically, um, you know, when we train CrossFit, we're training High Rocks, and essentially we've talked about this before.
It's basically a long endurance style CrossFit wad.
But when
wad.
CrossFit people go to the High Rocks event, we bring that community into it. Right. We're bringing our community to there. That's what I'm saying. Exactly right.
And I think the problem is one thing that other methodologies or like this specific race that, the High Rocks race doesn't have the variability in skills that we present. It's one race. You see a lot of video from these High Rocks races, these competitions. The standards aren't there. The standards, the points of performance getting low enough on that ball is a classic one we see a lot of videos of, right? Poor form when it comes to the sled or the lunges. So when you're not CrossFit, you're not CrossFit. You lose a lot.
I can't. I'm speaking like High Rocks, like I've gone to the event. I've never gone to an event. But like you watch a lot of videos. You watch a lot, things come across Instagram all the time, and you watch the winners cross the line, and many of them don't high five each other. They cheer and they move on, or they actually might smack talk the person who came in second or third. In CrossFit, we don't do that.
No, every single class at the end of the workout, and I specifically yesterday, my 4:00 class, everyone was done except one person. Nobody put their stuff away.
Yeah.
Nobody went over to the bench and started drinking water. We all sat on the floor. Not me, I was coaching. I stood on the floor and we cheered on that last person finishing the workout. It was a difficult workout, and we were there every rep, right? Every step of the way. We didn't stop the music. Nobody started stretching. We were right there with that athlete. And they might have been the last to finish, but they got the absolute most support out of the class because they had everyone paying attention to them saying, hey, we got you. We're here with you all the way. We just finished. You can finish too.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, look at the Olympics, we're getting ready, the Winter Olympics getting ready to start. And it's always what gets the airtime when you see the three, medalists up on the stage, and they end up hugging and showing each other's flags off.
Everybody on the pedestals.
And, and that gets a lot of airtime because that's what the Olympics is supposed to be about.
The best of the best.
And all they compete against each other. And at the end, when they're standing next to each other, they should be showing off not just their medals, but them three doing it together. Right.
Well, and what we don't see is the guy who came in last, right? Who, even though he didn't go home with a medal, or the woman who ended up having to opt out because of an injury, they still put in the work. They put in the work to get there. They gave everything they had in the event. But we don't necessarily always get to see those folks or ever get to see those
I remember
folks.
Like a story they had, I think it was a female from a country that doesn't typically train in this specific sport and Olympics. They barely qualified to get into the Olympics, or just by happen chance got a spot in. When the race was over, the other Olympians were very, they were doing that with this person because like who gets the chance to go to the Olympics? It's pretty cool that you're able to get there.
Yeah.
So they had that camaraderie there with the Olympics. And I think that do other, if you look at Ironmans and things like that, I don't know if they necessarily have that same compassion for each other like we do in CrossFit, like hopefully in the Olympics, most of the Olympic trainees and participants are like that as well. It seems like from the outside looking in.
I think one point you made is that you haven't been to a lot of these events and a lot of races, so you don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that in
I only see what I
and
see
of
on TV,
itself is a
on
good
screens.
example here. One thing we know
Yeah.
is that if you walk into a CrossFit box, we are celebrating the last person to
Yes.
finish.
Yes.
We don't know that about these other sports. We don't know that about these other events. We don't know that
We
about
see
these
little
other
snippets, right?
snippets. We don't know
Yeah,
that about
correct.
mythologies, but CrossFit is well known. That
Well
is
known.
one of our tenets, that as a community, as a class, we are a
As a
cult.
cult.
And every single member of that cult is important, from the
Yes.
person who finishes first to the person who finishes last.
Yeah.
That's one thing that can be said about us without a doubt. It's about the fact that we are famous for
We're famous
that.
for it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That is what we do here. So
yeah.
not to cast dispersion on anyone who may or may not do that, but we are famous for that. That is one of the tenets of our community.
And that's part of our culture.
It is our culture. So we're moving on from cult to culture,
Sure.
right?
Culture.
Part of the word. And I think overall, the big message here is that as a cult, as a culture, what we stand for is better health, both through movement, nutrition, bringing different methodologies together, from being consistent, from keeping everybody accountable, from talking, hey, where were you in class yesterday? The coach coming like, hey, how's it going? We need to do a check-in. To did you log your results? Can we see how it's going? To tracking the progressions, to sharing all the data, to everybody working to improve each other. Overall, CrossFit is the main community look at, the main large group of people, the cult that is known for all of these things.
And we are cult leaders.
And we are cult leaders. Yeah.
And that's a big thing, because we should be doing not just teaching you the movements, but teaching y'all, well, look, when the workout's over, hey, everybody give each other high fives, knuckles, and that whole element of that. Look, the whole knuckle thing, that didn't start until we started. Before CrossFit, the knuckle thing, maybe in the military. I think we probably borrowed that from the military, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
But the knuckle thing.
Did you guys fist bump in the military? No,
No,
I gotta
right.
know.
So
I gotta know.
I think
from
the
that.
fist bump thing.
There was some other motion just done. We were going to completely ignore that. But it's not safe for TV.
But the fist bump is part of our system of congratulations. We finished that workout. Mainly why? Because our hands are so tired we can't open them.
Tired and full of chalk.
We walk around like this. We're like gorillas. We just walk around with hands like
people
this.
with our hands. It's just absolutely disgusting.
After you can Fran, the last thing you want to do is try to open your hand and high five. It's like,
my hand is messed up.
But you can manage that fist bump, right?
But you can manage a fist bump. So yeah, that's part of our system. That's part of as a coach, as a leader, the things that we do to try to create culture leads on us, on our shoulders, to lead the way.
Absolutely. We are a very inclusive environment overall. We work to make sure that everyone, no matter your background, no matter your beliefs, no matter what it is that you do or wish you did or haven't done, there's a place for you here at the CrossFit.
Yeah, 100%. Like if, sometimes you might get an athlete that finished the workout, and as soon as they finish the workout, it's an AMRAP, we all finish together at the same time, right? And you see one athlete kind of walk over to the benches and start, and everybody else is kind of giving knuckles. What am I doing? I am walking across the room to that person, give them some knuckles. Say, hey, come on, everybody bring it in, come give so-and-so over here some knuckles. They'll all walk over there and kind of lead the way to go, because look, I'm not going to tell her, hey, what are you doing over there? Get your ass over here. And no, we're all going to bring it to you.
Yeah, I agree. And our off-camera producer, Kyle, who makes us all look way better than we probably are, right, is telling us now that the original
boxers,
the original fist bump comes from boxers touching gloves, European boxers specifically.
Yeah, but
black culture, the DAP. What is the DAP? D-A-P. The DAP. That's what they called it. Is this? So let's give credit where credit is due. Right? Sure. There's too much appropriation from everyone and everything. So we didn't know. We found it out. We were not the first, but we definitely have embraced it. It's a great practice, and it's definitely something. Again, it comes at the end of a workout, at the end of a hard effort that everyone's participated in.
Just can't open my hands.
And a lot of it is due to the strain that we just put ourselves under. So, folks, I think that also we can, talk a little bit here about as children, we used to do the same thing, like cartoons when we were kids. They all got together, the Wonder Twins, Power Super Friends, right? The cartoons that brought us up congratulating each other. Does that make sense to you?
I
This is
don't
again
remember
from
those
our off-camera
cartoons.
producer. Oh, well, Kyle's a masters athlete. If we've never mentioned that before, Kyle is masters. Is that
Yeah,
a word?
I mean, I remember like He-Man, He-Man, Thundercat.
There's a new He-Man coming out.
I know.
Did you see that?
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
if I should be excited or not. I really liked the one from the 80s.
A man walking around with a blonde hair bowl cut is just weird looking.
Yeah, but that was He-Man.
All muscled up, with a bowl cut. Yeah.
If he can do what He-Man did, I'll take it. It's fine. I'm all good with that. Folks, we got to stop.
Yeah.
It's been great talking to you today. Please like, share, and follow. I'm Coach Tanya.
And I'm Coach Mertz.
This is the Affiliate Soapbox. Powers activate.
Bing. Don't forget, we have our open coming up.
That's true.
And we're going to have Team Star Wars versus Team Marvel. All right.
I'm trying not to choose a favorite. They're both my favorites, but.
Well, I'm just saying I have Duck Maul.
We have Thanos and Captain America.
Duck Maul.
The rivalry begins.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier, and I think that, Thanos snaps his fingers, the Emperor dies, comes back to life. Thanos snaps his fingers, Emperor dies, comes back to life. Like it'll just keep going.
Chicken or the egg? Like how do we resolve this? All right, folks, if you're out there and if you're a creator and you do things with AI, we're gonna need some resolution. Please create a Thanos versus Darth Maul and or the Emperor battle. Right?
Yeah.
We need this resolved.